Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. I hope everyone's having a good evening, wherever you are. A live have your say Q&A sesh. Get your questions in, get your thoughts in on the current affairs at West Ham United. Before I get started, please do smash a like on the video, goes a long way, and subscribe to E20 Zone TV. I've got someone who's going to come on shortly, in Brad. He's going to have his say in a little while. But I'm here to talk about Mateus Fernandes. A player that's been linked with West Ham throughout the summer. He's Graham Potter's #1 target. He's a man that is highly rated, but can we get him for £30 million? That's the $1 million question. Now, for me, I don't think we can. I think we might have to overpay on this geezer in order to get him up to the club. And the one fear that I have currently right now with him is if we put a bid in, it gets rejected, it alerts everyone else, and basically do other clubs come to the party. Now, this kid looks decent. Looks very, very good. He comes from the Sporting Lisbon Academy. He's 21 years old. He's Portuguese. So he'd probably work well with Paqueta to a point. But can West Ham really get him done? I hope so. But there was a fresh link today, and I had to sort of go on Twitter earlier on and sort of make a claim that there is links and leaks that keep coming out every Monday morning. I don't understand it. We go for the whole summer with consistent leaks, and then we play Lille, and then we get linked to one of their players, a defensive midfielder. I don't believe that one. I really don't. I've seen it too many times. I caught it too many times, and every Monday there seems to be a new person every single time. Now, before I let Brad come on and have his say and let him get off whatever he wants to get off his chest, we need to act urgently like this week. I don't think there's any time to waste on this one. West Ham should be looking to try and get this deal done and wrapped up by Friday at 12 o'clock the latest. Do you know what I mean? Because by Friday at 12 will be the cut-off point in order to sign a player to play against Sunderland. It's the end of Monday now, and it's still nothing. It's still nothing again, and I don't understand what West Ham are waiting for. Do you know what I'm saying? The longer it goes on, I am going to get concerned. I am, and I am a bit sceptical about this Fernandes one because I know what Southampton are like. They're a bit like Villa. They know how to get best value for their players. They're not in any urgency to sell, and if they are valuing him about 45 million, yeah, which is supposing what they want, then we're going to have to come up with a plan of how to get him out of there. Like, does £30 million get him out of there? I don't think so. I think if you drop a bid in there of about 37.5 million, yeah, I think you get him out of there. Yeah, I don't think you get him out of there for 30 mil, mate. Like, I think we're being hopeful in that regard, and it's like the first bid, which is going to be rejected straight away. So he's #1 target, and we're going to see what happens with him. Now let's get Brad on. Before I do, if you're new around here, do subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way. It really helps us out. And let's get Brad on. Brad, take it away, mate.
Good evening, mate. How are you? You well?
All good, mate. Take it away.
Yeah. I think we get this done, James. Bold claim. I know. I just think we're going to get it done. I like you when the Macau, whatever you want to call him, when that link come out, I thought, here we go again. The old smoke screen special. Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I think, if you'd asked me a week or two ago if we'd have got Hermansen for 15 million, I'd have said you're having a fucking laugh, to be honest with you. I thought easily 25, 30 million. That was, 30 million is what they initially quoted. Then they were talking 25, then 20, and then all of a sudden we get it done, for 15.5 million plus, 2 million of unachievable add-ons apparently. So the later this window goes on, and I think what makes this one a bit more interesting is the Tyler Diblin situation as well, where that deal's still not agreed. And I think obviously, they're quoting, 40 odd plus million for Tyler Diblin. You've got the English tax on that as well. I know Southampton fans are saying, it's going to take at least 60 million to get Fernandes out of there. I don't believe that for a second. I truly think around 30 million will probably get it done.
I got to disagree, Brad.
Bears.
I think Southampton haven't. Well, one, they haven't really got to sell because Will Steele's there, and Will Steele would probably say to him, you know what, give us a year. And I really do believe Southampton are going to piss the league this year in the Championship with Will Steele there and the players that they got. I'm concerned because once West Ham put a bid in, if that bid gets rejected, and it ain't a solid bid for them to accept it, he alerts every other club, and then does another club come in there and think, you know what, he wouldn't be a bad player. Do you know what I'm saying? Because don't forget, every club's got different targets currently right now. When I look at him and I see what West Ham Online is saying in the chat there, he's not really being impressed with him, but he's Potter's number one target. So if Potter wants him, you've got to go after the man that he wants. Now, I don't think 30 mil gets him out of there, mate. I really don't. I think 30 mil is as an opening offer bid for me. I think the only way you're going to get him out there if you get him out there for about 37.5 million, something in that ballpark. Because I spoke to a Southampton fan earlier on. He turned around and said to me, they're looking at about 45 mil for this geezer. Yeah,
and I did see that. Yeah,
he's got no clauses in his contract. He's on a 4-year deal. They've got him lock, stock, and barrel here. So why would they sell him for half? Well, like 15 million cheaper to us. Do you know what I mean? It ain't going to be, I just don't see it myself. I think what it is, 30 mil is what we can afford at the start, but Sullivan's going to put his hand in his pocket in this one. And this is the one. Yeah, this is the one that I've been saying all week, Brad. Right. And we've been discussing it on Spaces, been discussing it on here. This is the one where you're going to see what Sullivan's all about, right? Because he ain't got nowhere to negotiate with Southampton. This is Potter's number one target now, and he's going to have to invest in getting this geezer out of that club. Like, if you're a serious owner, you get Fernandes out of that club this week. You don't 100%. Leave it another week. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, Mateus Fernandes is a young player. He's still got a lot more development in him as well. And, you can see Potter's trying to sign a younger caliber of player, not someone that's the ready-made player right now, but someone that can definitely do a job, get the fans excited, but more importantly, still has a lot of development. And obviously, there's always a worry with that, where you go and sign a player to develop them, that they become an asset to the football club. But right now, West Ham don't have a lot of assets. That's just the fact of the matter. So with Mateus Fernandes, look, I know it's a bold shout saying 30 million will get him out of there, but I just think with foreign players, the fees that you can command, particularly because Southampton are a Championship football club now, right, you have to factor that into it as well. And the closer it gets to the deadline, I just think the more that fee goes down for them. So I do wonder if that was the strategy. I think all along we've all gone, we need to sort out the midfield. They've gone and got a left wing back. Then they've gone and got a Callum Wilson and Carl Walker-Peters. Then they've gone and got a goalkeeper. We still haven't sorted out the midfield. But actually, sometimes when you can play the window to your advantage, where maybe at the start of the window, that 45 million fee probably would have been fair. But now you're sort of saying 37.5 million. I don't think we'll get this deal done in the next couple of days that we'd want it to. But I do think the longer it plays on, that fee becomes a bit more exciting. And the reason I say that, James, is one thing West Ham love to say, or it seems the sources like to put out, is that there's so many clubs that want Mateus Fernandes. They're saying there's about 12 clubs ahead of West Ham. Well, not one of them's bid for him.
Yeah, but are they all waiting for what you've just said? Are they all thinking the same thing? Like, for instance, I use Brighton as an example. They might be getting rid of their central midfielder.
Yeah.
Does Fernandes fit the profile that they want at Brighton? Like, and if we're thinking like this, you've got to think of what other clubs are thinking and all. And it's if West Ham are serious, they get the geezer this week. They go and they drop the bid in there, and we all know this, right? Through I don't want to say his name again, but I will for the last time. The John Victor situation had agreed terms and basically had him ready to rock and roll. That's how West Ham have got to be with Fernandes. Like you just got to be. Like, I'm concerned that if he don't get this target, I don't know who we're going to end up with. I really don't. I've heard Santos has been mentioned. Brownhill keeps getting mentioned. Douglas Luiz, obviously
El
with
Canoes as well,
El,
but I
El
think Newcastle might be in for him now.
yeah, El Canoes, and then you got like McAtee has gone. He's off to Nottingham Forest. Do you know what I mean? And
20 million, right?
20 million, yeah. Like, I'm concerned that if we don't act now, yeah, someone comes in and takes him off our hands who's in a better situation. Do you know what I'm saying? Like someone like a Nottingham Forest maybe, or another club. Like off the top of my head, I'm trying to like think of clubs who might need a midfielder. Brighton's the one. If Brighton do get rid of their midfielder, the boy who plays
Believer.
defensive, yeah,
Yeah.
if they get rid of him, then they're going to be looking for a midfielder. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I do understand completely what you're saying, but I think it's always notorious. Most football clubs will go and put an offer in, and the first bid will be rejected. I don't think that's just West Ham. I think the only difference with us is we lowball a lot harder than probably a lot of clubs do. We do, they'll say 45 million, and we'll come in with a 20 million bid and get kind of laughed out of the room. But I think there's going to be a couple of outgoings this week. I think we are going to see a couple of players that will move on this week, and then that's obviously going to bring a little bit more finance. Now, interestingly, that could actually play against us because
right.
obviously if the outgoings go out this week, suddenly the clubs are like, well, hang on a minute, West Ham have got a bit more money coming in here. But actually, the whole Sullivan pleading poverty thing, he's going to try and use that to his advantage. I don't know how much money we got left. What about Juve was 20 million, and
if we've got 40 million, Brad, that's saying too much.
Yeah.
So
The thing is, based on just if we're purely basing it on the Kudus money alone, I think I calculated the other day it's like 21 odd million that's left of that Kudus money to be invested. Now I know the deals are obviously split over, usually like either a 3, 4, or 5 year term. So it's one of those where the board have either got to take a bit of a calculated risk and sort of, if you say go in at the 37.5 million to get the deal done, if you think that's what it's going to take, you can actually spread that over the next 4 or 5 years. But it is a calculated risk. But it is a young player, and a player that, even if he doesn't work out in the next 12 months, you'd probably be able to recoup quite a lot of that investment. Whereas in years gone by, we've signed players like James Ward-Prowse, who, at the age of 29, 28, whenever we signed him, it's much harder to recoup the value of those players later down the line, which is why if we actually sold Ward-Prowse now, it would negatively impact us for PSR. And I hate talking about PSR, but when you really look into it, that's what will happen. Whereas someone like Mateus Fernandes is someone that can massively boost your PSR, if that makes sense.
Alf is saying in the chat, is not what we need. Is it what we need, Fernandes? I think he's a good player. I think he's a player that you bring in because his values are going to go up. He's young. We need energy in the middle of the park. I think it's a no-brainer for me. What are you saying, Brett?
I'd argue the two players that we've been linked with are actually the two, like today, Fernandes and Macau are actually the two players we need to transform our midfield. Macau's much more of a deep line midfielder. He's comfortable playing in 6. He's comfortable operating a bit further forward in the 8 as well. Whereas Fernandes is, he don't get me wrong, like people overlook Fernandes. They purely look at his attacking ability and the skill that he possesses, but he does all the dirty work as well, which is what Paquetá has. He's had to sacrifice his role to get involved in the dirty work. So actually, by having another player on that sort of vibe as Paquetá will actually allow both of them to interchange into the 10. And I think that's quite exciting because one can drop in and help defensively, and then the other one can cover them, and they can kind of interchange between the 8 and the 10 between the two of them. So I absolutely think Mateus Fernandes will be a fantastic addition to the West Ham side. If you're saying to me Fernandes or Ward-Prowse, who are you starting?
Well, apparently Ward-Prowse is vice captain. That's what I read earlier on. Shout out to Costa.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Whether or not that's true or not is another thing. I will get to Potter later on. There's people that love him, hate him, and it is what it is on that. For me, if you want the geezer, you've got to put a bid in tonight. It's going to be interesting to see what bid he puts in, right? Because any person in their right mind, that Southampton ain't going to take you know that you can't take the piss out of Southampton because he got no bargaining chips there. Do you know what I mean? With Leicester, you can sort of go down that road, but with Southampton, they're in a bit more of a better financial situation. Will's still there. They are going to piss the league this year. Trust me, mark my words on that. Southampton will do some damage, and I just think West Ham need to be serious in this one. This is the area that we all know is the most serious area on the pitch, right? For us, especially for us. And even then, like, I just don't want us to lowball them and then activate other clubs to coming in. I see a comment there just a minute ago when people said, well, if you put a proper bid in, yeah, like a serious bid in, and they accept it, other clubs could come in. There is also that. But other clubs might look at it and think, I ain't paying that much for him. Do you know what I mean? West Ham need to pay the money and get this geezer out there. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
I don't mind a slightly lower ball offer, because if you go in, I'm almost a bit anxious actually. If you go in and you say stick 40 million or 37.5 million down, and Southampton go, yeah, deal. Actually, straight away, I start questioning. Oh, could we? It's not my fucking money at the end of the day. But from a club's perspective, they might go, oh, maybe we could have got a little bit less here.
Yeah, but Brad, if this was beginning part of July, I'd agree with you. Like, we're running out of time. Do you know what I mean? And if clubs come in there, like what someone said to me the other day, I can't remember who said it to me. He said at the back end of the window, it's going to be very hard to find quality players because they're all going to be snapped up. And then one thing West Ham can't do is have a scattergun approach in that midfield area where they're going after targets. Like the link to the player today was comical for me, right? Because I say it to everyone, I say it right now. Every Monday morning at about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the fucking morning, there's a new link to a player.
It happens without foul every week.
it does. And listen, I'm only telling you what I'm seeing, right? And listen, you either believe me or you don't out there, people. But what I'm saying is that every single time, and it's like this kid hasn't even been mentioned. I actually spoke to X earlier on. X said to me, he's on the list, James, but he's on the list of backups.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So if he's on a list of backups and he's a really good player, why are we not in for him? If he's £20 million, like how can you? Well, I know you've got a backup list, but where's the main list? Like, do you know what I'm saying? I would love to know who the two main midfielders are that West Ham want. Do you know who they are, Brad? Because I ain't got a fucking clue at the minute.
No, if I had, I think obviously Fernandes was one. I think Jacob Ramsey was the other, but there's just no way we're going to get Ramsey out of Villa. He doesn't want to come. And if I'm being honest, any player that's saying they don't want to come to West Ham is not a player I want wearing the football shirt. If I'm being honest with you, James, as much as he's a talented player, I'd rather have a player that comes in. The only thing we don't know about Fernandes is the player side, and people can say, well, West Ham might not have spoken to the player, but we all know tapping up happens in football because we're seeing personal terms agreed now, often before transfer fees are even agreed with football clubs. That happens all the time. So there could be conversations, and Jacob Steinberg's been very bold on this and saying that there is optimism from West Ham, and that's exactly what happened with Hermansen when the John Victor come out. It was this sudden optimism from West Ham that we could get the Hermansen deal done, and the same thing has happened here. We've got a link to Macau, possible smoke screen, and there's an optimism that now we might have agreed terms, will be close to agreeing terms with the player. He might quite fancy staying in the south and coming to London. We don't know. The other clubs up north, he might not want to go there. So there's lots of different aspects you've got to take into this, and I think now it's just down to whether the club can actually go and get the fee agreed, and that's the bit with Sullivan in charge. And I know we talk about Sullivan all the time, but I don't know if we can, but I do think 30 million might just about do it.
What do you reckon the opening bid's going to be?
Great question. This is going to sound ridiculous, but probably about 22.5 million.
See, I just don't understand that, Brad.
I don't want it to be that, but I just feel like that's the sort of offer we'll go in at, like, with some add-ons, some achievable add-ons, some unachievable add-ons that might total it to about 27.5, 28 million. And then they might come back and say, well, actually, if we can get closer to 35, then all of a sudden there's dialogue happening and a deal might get done that's closer to what we want.
If he goes in and just for argument's sake, he drops a bid of, say, 23 million and they're saying 45, then you're miles away.
Yeah.
you're miles away from the target. If West Ham are serious, you drop a bit of 30 mil in there, and you say, right, it's 30 mil. Well, what you're saying, right, and you will know whether they're up for it. This is the one fear I've got, and we're going to know this week. And listen, I will be there, 100%, people. I will
Yeah.
fucking be there because Sullivan's got to pull this one out of his arse now.
The one thing I'll say, James, what I have seen, what's quite interesting is we all kind of knew what figures Leicester wanted for Hermansen. We knew what figure Sparta Prague wanted for not Sparta Prague, Slavia Prague wanted for Diouf. But I know we see Southampton fans, but there's no real knowledge from any West Ham ITK or even any Southampton ITKs of the fee that Southampton actually want for the player. So that's the bit that maybe gives me a little bit of optimism that if they're having talks, maybe, just maybe, Jacob Steinberg said he thinks 30 million could get it done. That's the first time I've seen anyone that's got any close connections to West Ham put a bit of a statement like that out there. Now, that could be to bend Southampton's arm a little bit. I don't know. But that there obviously is a bit of optimism there that they could negotiate a deal around that figure. How that deal is going to be structured remains to be seen, doesn't it? You just never know with Sully.
The only thing is that you've got. I just don't want West Ham to drag this one.
Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing. Yeah. And we all know how he likes to drag out a deal. People said to me earlier, he said, well, what about Diouf, James? Like, Diouf was dragged out. Yeah, but Diouf was identified for a long time and linked for a long time. With Fernandes, this is the main area now. Right. The midfield's the heartbeat of the side, isn't it? Let's be honest. And we lack it in so many departments. And I really couldn't tell you who West Ham are going to go for if this falls apart. I couldn't tell you West Ham are going for next. Like, the Jacob Ramsey thing, right? I always believed it was never going to happen. Right, the moment it got linked and leaked and everything, I just believed it was never going to happen in the month of Sundays because he's a Villa boy. Why would he leave Villa to come to us? It's yet again a salt house thing. And do you know what? Karma's a bitch sometimes because what us fucking about with people, he's managed to get a new contract out of Villa.
Yeah, it's worked against us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's worked against us. So, there is that. And then obviously, I keep hearing, was it Santos, the Chelsea lad?
Andre Santos, yeah.
Keep hearing him being mentioned for a loan.
Not for me, personally. I know a lot of people quite like him, but not for me.
Who is for you then, Brad? What you saying?
Yeah, in terms of the players that we've been linked with, Fernandes was definitely probably at the top of my list for the summer, certainly up there. And I would say Bilal El Khanous as well. I really like what I've seen of the player, but I do agree that we do still need that sort of deep line midfielder, and not a lot of the links that have come out haven't really addressed that area. So it comes down to what Potter's thinking here, because obviously Claret and Hugh have very boldly again come out and said, whether you believe them or not, that Edson Alvarez is for sale, but that conflicts what's happened that he's got a number 4 shirt. So he's changed his shirt number, so they're thinking of playing him centre back, because a number 4 can either play defensive mid or centre back.
I think he's playing centre back myself.
So do I, yeah. And I'm wondering if that's the case, maybe they'll try and shift on Mavropanos, possibly.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've still got to get a few players out the door, but yeah, in terms to answer your question, James, those were the two: Bilal El Khanous and Mateus Fernandes, because they're young players. They've got a taste for Premier League football. They're also playing currently in the Championship, so they'll have a bit of an eagerness and a want to come to West Ham, albeit maybe as a stepping stone. I found no one talked about Hermansen saying this was a good step for West Ham. I don't know about you, but I picked up on that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But they're the sort of players that I think you can pry away from their clubs, whereas people like Harvey Elliott, he's going to want European football. He's playing for the champions of England, for fuck's sake, and it was always going to be a tough deal to do. Jacob Ramsey's got European football and will want to battle for his place, and he loves it in the Midlands. So they're the two that I think are the most realistic and will massively improve the side. And maybe take a little bit of pressure off of Pops in the 6 role as well, because Fernandes in particular is certainly happy to do the dirty work as well.
Yeah. I think what it is with West Ham if they can't get these main targets, they will attack the Championship because you can pull players out of there. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, they're doing it with Fernandes now, right? Because technically he's a Championship player, so like, that's what they're going down that route. I just don't I hope they don't sort of delay it. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Sunderland's coming up on Saturday, and we need to see something on Saturday. Because obviously on Saturday just gone was fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? Let's get your thoughts on that. What do you make of that, Brad?
Say that again. Sorry, what about Saturday? What Lille?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the game, mate. Funny enough, got to watch Macau live, and he was the best player on the pitch by quite some distance. He had full control of the midfield, particularly in the second half. But I think one thing I will say, look, it's quite different watching it on telly than it is watching it live. And I kept reminding myself, Lille have won the league a few times in the past in the French league. You can call it a farmers league, but you've got likes of Monaco and Paris Saint-Germain in there, and they are a Champions League team. You know, they are no mugs, and they certainly showed that in the first half because they kind of did what we wanted to do, which was dictate all of the ball. But one thing I will say is we did limit them quite a lot to chances, and some of their best chances actually came from distance. And then obviously the marking, I think there was a bit of a miscommunication at the back that led to Giroud's fucking wonder goal. We did have some good moments. I think we actually probably the last 10, 15 minutes of the first half is when we stepped up, but we were so heavily reliant on Bowen in the first half, which was glaringly obvious to see. Whereas second half, I think Potter clearly got in their ear, and we actually started attacking down the left-hand side a little bit more with Juve, and Juve was getting forward a lot more. And Lille, I don't know if that was a case of Lille just made, they did make a handful of changes, but also just had something to hang on to that maybe made us look better than we actually were.
I thought first half we were shit, mate. I'm going to be straight.
It was poor,
right?
It was boring.
And the thing is, it is going to be boring football, and this Potter thing that's going around at the minute, where people are sort of itching to get him out the fucking door. I don't agree with it at the end of the day because he hasn't really been backed. He's going to need more than just Fernandes in that midfield. He's going to need other players in that midfield. I don't believe Callum Wilson's the man he wanted. Do you know what I'm saying? And Carl Walker-Peters, but it is what it is. He's got to work with the players that he's got. The issue is that I think we're in a bit of a situation where we've got a manager there that is integrating youth. He's integrating Freddie Potts, who I'm going to speak about in a minute. He's integrated Skulls, and we need to see how we can handle games in the Premier League. And we're going to know on Saturday if we go up to Sunderland and we get turned over, which I am concerned about. I really am, because I know what West Ham are like. Right, if we go to a place and you got 50,000 Mackhams in there going berserk, and we go a goal down, I just don't see us spinning games round. Not once last year under Potter did we spin a game around from a losing position. Not once. And that's a concern for me. Right? I don't want to go through that this year, right? Because West Ham are not very good at holding the lead. Right? They're just not. And defensively, you see it on Saturday. You got 3 centre halves and they're playing the fucking offside trap, which against one of the slice players in the league, which baffles me to this day. So, obviously, come the game is going to be interesting to see. Do you know what I'm saying? Brad, what do you make of Potter,
James,
Brad?
I think we've. I completely agree with what you're saying with Potter. I think you've already seen after Saturday exactly what we said would happen, that the football's not great, and then instead of turning to Sullivan, people turn to Potter, and that's the thing that really pisses me off more than anything. Because and I truly believe, look, one window is not going to turn this round. It could be 2, 3, 4 windows before Potter's really got a squad of players that he wants, and that's because last year we backed the wrong manager. We backed the wrong manager heavily, and ironically, it was the manager that the director of football did not want. It was the one that the manager wanted to bring in because it was a cheap option, and it's backfired massively. And now the club and Potter are the ones that are falling victim to that. And I think you've just got to let Potter over this window, next window, and the one after actually build a squad. Now we can't completely say he's going to get away with everything, because if we're 1-0 up or we're 1-0 down and we're still sitting behind the ball and he's not changing things, then obviously naturally as fans we've got every right to have a go at that. But I think what I will say is we're looking at a West Ham team right now that has only got 2 players that Potter's actually wanted. One of them's a goalkeeper and one of them's a left wing back. So as we talk right now, we are no way near the side that Potter really probably visions in the long term at West Ham.
I'm going to say this, yeah, and I fucking hate saying this because I've said it for the last few years. But is this a transitional season?
Yes.
This year? See, that's what
it
irritates.
Shouldn't be, but I think
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I'll be straight. I don't accept that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because
no, I don't either. I want us to finish. I want us to be pushing for Europe, and people call me mental for that, but that's what I've come to expect now as a West Ham fan. We've moved to this stadium for that reason, to be battling up that side of the table. And you know, if we're not sitting in the top 10, top 8, you know, by the end of the season, I will be disappointed. But looking at where things are right now, I also have to put my realist cap on and sort of actually think. Someone asked me at work earlier, one of my mates is a big Leeds fan. He said, where do you think you'll finish? He was sort of saying, do you think 13th to 15th? And I went, absolutely fucking not. I said, probably 10th to 12th, which isn't that many places above. But that's probably, in the management's eyes or the owner's eyes, that would be progress on last season.
Yeah, but is that acceptable, Brad? Like, because the way I look at this year is this: some people want to be style of play. Me personally, I want to see West Ham competing for Europe again. Yeah, because them nights in Europe were a blessing. Right, to play on a Thursday night and see all you boys going away to away games, going to a shithole like Frankfurt, or you end up in fucking Bulgaria somewhere, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And the thing is, I can accept a transitional season is that as long as there's investment. The issue I've got is I don't think there's enough investment for this geezer to do the job that he's handed. Like, he's dealing with literally 2 other managers' players there. Do you know what I mean? Nathan Gued is a player that Moyes signed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, Kilman's Lopetegui. You got fucking Steiden's fucking signing in to Debo. Do you know what I'm saying? It's going to take time to spin this around. I think if the football was better, yeah, I think people will be lightening up a little bit. Right. What do you make of the formation, Brad?
I've kind of, I don't know whether I've come to accept it, but I think right now what Potter's done is he's built a system for this transitional period that we're probably in. Because when he came into the club, you've got to remember, we were conceding goal after goal after goal. We were conceding goals for fun. So he's really trying to shore us up at the back, make us a bit more of a tight knit. And I don't think we will concede a lot of goals under Graham Potter in that 5-3-2. But what I do know from his Brighton days, and I've analysed quite a lot of the games, you know, I'm one of those sad people that will actually go back and watch 90 minutes of games when he was at Brighton, and he actually prefers to really have that sort of box midfield, which we're not actually seeing at West Ham at the moment. So he actually prefers to have sort of like a 3-4-2-1. Which is the system that I think he would ideally want to go to, but just right now he hasn't got the players to probably be able to do that. And I think Mateus Fernandes is certainly a missing link in that, where you could potentially see Paquetá and Mateus Fernandes operating in the 2. But the only problem with that is what happens to Bowen, you know, because I don't think Bowen really is a number 10. So the systems that Potter plays probably doesn't actually suit our best player at West Ham, which is Jared Bowen. But I'm not completely against what Potter's trying to do right now, because I think Fulkrug and Bowen, when you're watching the game live, I could clearly see that they are building a bit of a relationship straight from kickoff. They're only ever about 5-10 yards apart from each other, which is what good strike partnerships do. And Fulkrug's already actively talking about how he's happy to come deep and get the ball through to Jared and play it where he wants it. But in an ideal world, we don't want Fulkrug playing as part of a box 4. We need him in the box on the end of those Malik Diouf wonder crosses. So, yeah, I'm happy to accept the 5-3-2 maybe for the first couple of games, whilst we're still trying to get a couple more players through the door. But then I do think we are going to shift into a more 3-4-2-1 formation.
I hope so, but I will get to the Jared Bowen thing in a minute. because obviously he's in a position that he's not really familiar with.
Mm.
We're not really getting the best out of this kid. And he's better really up from the right, cutting inside and doing the damage that way. Really as an inside forward. My system usually is 4-3-3.
Yeah,
I've
that's
always
what I'd
said
want to
that.
see.
I want to see 2 inside forwards. I want to see Krug up front. Or if anything, take Krug out and put a faster player in there. But you know, it is what it is at the minute. Right, I've got 2 people there, Brad. You wait there, and I bring James in. See what James has got to say.
All right.
James, what you saying, mate?
How you doing? Right. What I was going to say with regards to the formation, you will not see the likes of Somerville, and I don't believe you're going to see Guillaume. And Bowen is only being kept because he's the jewel in the crown. The fact of the matter is he's going to play a wing back system, no wingers. Me personally, I would go. You say 4-3-3. I would like 4-1-4-1. If you're only going to play one up top, I don't think that, you know. I watched that game on Saturday, and I'm just going to be totally honest with you. At half time, I went to bed. I went to bed and went to sleep. I just thought, this is absolute rubbish. Like, I was so disappointed with it. You're sitting there looking at it now. I know we won it, and whatever you can call it, whatever you want, the Boyle Sports Cup, the Betway Cup, you can call it whatever you like. It don't mean nothing. And as for the the midfield needs a total overhaul. And if you're sitting there thinking, Potter's looking at James Ward-Prowse and thinking that he's like, I'm not being horrible. I really ain't. Like, I think he's a terrible player. I think he's terrible. He only goes left and right and backwards. I know that's probably what he's being instructed to do. He's probably being told, just recycle, keep recycling the ball. We're going to have a new keeper, that a Manson, who's good with the ball on the floor, and he can do triangles and all that. But the thing is, that's not conducive to good, get you out of your seat, screaming at the top of your lungs football, which is what, listen, I know younger fans want to, really all they care about is winning, but us older bastards want to see a little bit of exciting football, like a little, people talk about the West Ham way. Well, where I'm old, I'll go back to the days of Trevor Brooking and having Alan Devonshire, Alvin Martin and all that, Billy Bonds. The ball was, that was our song. We play on the floor. We play on the floor. But nowadays we play on the floor fucking sideways, like a crab.
I think that's why he wants to bring Fernandes though in, James.
You know what?
Yeah, no, I agree. He looks good, this kid at Southampton. But you have to ask yourself, is Sullivan actually going to put his hand in his pocket and do the deal? Or is he going to do what he normally does and go, how much do you want? 37.5 million? How about I'll give you 21? And then they'll come back, they'll go, that'll be rejected out of hand. And he'll go, well, what about 23? And he'll fuck about. You won't get a new player in before the end of the week. I will be so highly surprised if we see a new player before the season kicks off.
The only thing I'm going to say, though, James, the only thing I'm going to say about, in regards to what you're saying about style of play, but we've had all this before. I've heard this argument all the time. We can't keep sacking managers. Right, right. One thing we've got to do is back this geezer and tell this fucking owner to back him. Right, because
no, listen, I agree with you totally. What the point I'm making is, like, he ain't going to use the likes of Guillaume and all that. He wants a wing back system. So the idea is he's going to have to put players in there that fit that system. Guillaume is probably going to be sold. Somerville, once he's back from his injury, will probably be sold, and they'll put people because they're not wing backs. Listen, I'll ask you a question.
Hold on a minute. I'll just say this, the amount of times last year that we set up in this 5-3, because it is a 5-3-2. Anyone says, it's a 5-3 fucking 2, right?
Yeah.
So anyone who says it's any different, I don't know what they're saying. The issue is that every time last year that West Ham were under pressure, he would revert from a 5-3-2 straight into a 4-3-3. I remember at Bournemouth last year when we went 1-0 down, and I think it was on the 60th minute mark, he took Alvarez off and Souček off. He brought players on. He changed it completely, and within about 10 minutes, we looked a completely different side. Do you know what I mean? We was going forward, was attacking, and we really should have won that game 2-1, but we end up giving it away in the end. Like, one thing with Potter, he's a tinker. He tinkers with the side, right? The issue is, I don't mind this 5-3-2 if we're already in front. If we're already in front of games, I don't mind it, but I don't see us getting in front with the system that he's got. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know what you think on that, James.
People used to say the same thing about Moyes. What do you? I think I've heard you say it. What do you do when you go a goal behind?
Yeah.
How do you turn that around when you're playing so defensive? And yeah, Potter is a tinkerer, and he will. And you might, if you go behind, you might nick a 1-1. But you know, people go to football. They want to win, don't they? When you turn up on a Saturday or a Sunday or one of these a cold bloody winter night in February, you want to go there and you want to win the game, and you want, like, you know, you got to have players that will get the fans off their seat. Well, what I was going to say to you is the question I want to ask: do people understand the difference between a winger and a wing back? Because if they don't, you're in trouble. A wing back is basically there because he can tackle. A winger will play 30 yards further up the pitch because he's quick and he's going to get balls into the box. And that's the difference between the two. So you are automatically playing more defensive in a system, like I said, you know, when you work it out, you're playing this 5-3-2, which we've all just called. Paqueta is not in the 10. He's playing as a regular midfielder, right? Or you could call him an 8 or a 6, whatever. And the problem with that is you've now got 9 people in defence and only 2 people up front. And like I said, Jared Bowen, because he is a winger and he's not a wing back, like you said, you'd like to see him out on the right, which is where I want to see him. But in Potter's system, he's only being kept because he's the jewel in the crown. He's the jewel in West Ham's crown. We all know that he's the best player at the club, but he is a right winger. He's not a wing back.
But would you say though, James? But would you say he's the best finisher at the club? Because for me, Jared's the best finisher at the club. I think he's a better finisher than Fulkrug, right?
Yeah, he really is. Like, the thing is, he can crack them with his left foot, with his right foot, you know, and like he's been a fantastic player. I love Bowen. I think he's awesome. But I'm just saying, when you use these players and they're not playing in their natural position, that's why I think it was so easy for them to let Kudus go, because he's a winger. And they're sitting there going, he's not a wing back. He's not going to come back 15 yards like out inside his own half and start winning tackles and then get you up the pitch. Like, he's better you give him the ball on the halfway line or a little bit in front and he'll get you right up to the corner flag. But you know, when you're asking,
I agree with that a little bit, James, but I also think Kudus was a problem in the dressing room. I don't truly believe he was committed to West Ham.
No dispute there. No dispute. I'm just saying the reason they found it easy to let him go was, one, because he's trouble, and 2, because he don't really fit the system. So they probably sat there in the summer and gone, who actually fits in this? Who could we do with that? We could probably do without Kudus. We could probably do without Alvarez. I mean, look, I heard people on your show, I think it was after the game, I was listening to you and Lucas, James, right? Yeah. And I've got to tell you, well, I'm just going to say this right now. I have got a lot of respect for Lucas. One, because that boy travels halfway around the world to come and see the team play, and he's in the United States. So I'll give him all the credit in the world for that. But what he said about Souček, me personally, I know you disagree. I disagree with him. Souček is a box crasher. He's a box crasher, good for the last 15, 20 minutes. He is not a passer of the ball. Anyone who sits there and goes, he's a baller, he can get the ball and dribble around someone and lay off a pass or a through ball. I don't know what drugs they're on, but they're not good ones.
I think we've got to give Potter his plaudits there, though, James, because one thing we've all been saying all summer is that Thomas Souček is a player for the last 20 minutes to come on and help you get a goal. What happened on Saturday was exactly that. He come on and set up the goal for Fulkrug. And that is because he got into an advanced area to be able to pick up the ball and square it to Fulkrug, which is where he's at his best.
The problem is the midfield for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just isn't proactive enough for me. James Ward-Prowse is like a multi-trader. He does all the basics very, very well, but he hasn't that's it. He's very bland. He's very vanilla. Do you know what I mean? He ain't gonna beat a man. He can't score a free kick. He can whip a good corner in, and that's about it. Like there's nothing else there.
I heard. Sorry, mate. I know all I can see on my screen is a B. I don't know your name, and I'm not being rude.
It's Bradley. Brad's fine, Mark.
Sorry, Bradley. But listen, you said something earlier, right? But here is the thing: when you look at other teams, and it would never negatively impact you on PSR, right? Which is absolutely true to get rid of Ward-Prowse, because it's not just that. Who's going to take him? The man's on over 100 grand a week. Tell me someone who's going to pay that kind of wages. The problem we've had is we've put players on so much wages that you can't get rid of them. We couldn't get rid of Danny Ings. Souček's on 70 grand a week. He's 30 years old. Where's he going to go and get 70 grand a week? Where's James Ward-Prowse going to get 100 odd grand a week? They're not going to get it. So Rodriguez.
It's the players that's going on, though, isn't it, mate? It's not necessarily the money. It's the players it's being invested on. They're players that have never, we signed Ward-Prowse when he was 28, 29 years old, whatever he was. And when you're offering someone with 100 grand a week, 29, 28, whatever he was, just asking for trouble.
It's the final big contract,
Fernandes, it's a different conversation. Completely different.
It is. You're offering him like the big applaudits basically in the final big contracts. You know what I'm saying? James, I'm going to have to let you go because someone else wants to come on, mate. But
no worries. Listen, great show. James, listen, I just want to say to you before I go, I hope it wasn't because of me that people unsubscribed for you the other day.
I ain't worried about that, mate. Do you know what? I do this game because I love West Ham fans deep down, even though some of them fucking hate me out there. You know who you are, you haters, but it is what it is, right? I just want the success of this club. And so I want to say it quite openly right now.
That's what we all want.
Yeah,
but I just wanted to say to you, if it was because of me, I do apologise.
Nah, you're all right, son.
I know I get carried away, but like,
no, you're all right, mate. Listen, it's over
passion,
no one,
isn't it? It's just passion.
Yeah, but it's over no one.
Anyway,
it comes at me. So yeah, no worries, James. Take it easy, man. Right, let's get Costa in. Costa, what you saying, mate? Talk to me.
Lovely fella, James. I don't know why anybody would unsubscribe just because of him. He's a nice guy, and
well, what you saying
like
about?
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Talk to me. What you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk to you about anything, but people are not happy about the news I just posted.
Which is
everybody's fuming.
Sorry, Jack.
So what I've never done really is kind of break. People are fuming that supposedly James Ward-Prowse is vice captain.
So you ain't getting sold.
They're upset that it's not Souček. They think that means that Ward-Prowse is going to start regularly, and it's all doom and gloom about Ward-Prowse is too important to Potter and all this. But I remind people that Aaron Cresswell was vice captain, and that didn't automatically mean he was playing week in, week out. Vice captain can be a motivating position, one that's for the person who brings the most camaraderie, but it doesn't mean you're going to freaking start, But yeah, that's the latest news that I got. And, sometimes occasionally people give me shit, and what I don't really explain is, when I tweet that news, I'm not telling you who I got it from specifically on the website. And sometimes it's from the trusted old reliable, and sometimes it's somebody with a lot of enthusiasm who's never said anything before. And, sometimes those tend to be wrong. But they're still fun. So I still tweet them, and I don't really care.
I'm going to say this. Yeah. There is no way, if a bid comes in, that they won't get rid of Ward-Prowse. The problem is we can't get rid of this fucker. That's the bottom line of it. He's on too much dough. We can't get rid of him. Who's going to take his wages? Ideally, this deal for Fernandes would set up perfectly to take Ward-Prowse down to Southampton, because then he could go back to his home where he's began his career. He could end his career, and
Yeah.
it would fit a narrative to say, you know what, you take him, we give you 25 mil plus Ward-Prowse. There you go. You've got a replacement. You've got a bit of dough in the pocket. You can't go wrong. The issue is that I just don't think no one's going to touch this geezer. Like if you're on
You'd have to
100,
take a loss on it. It'd have to be a loan,
No.
James, wouldn't
That's
it?
what
We'd
I'm
have to
saying.
loan Ward-Prowse there and take cover probably at least
but what you would
50% of the
do,
wage.
but what you would do is you would loan him for the season with an option to buy at the end of next season, yeah. And then if they get promoted, yeah, you can sort of add a clause in it to say like if you get promoted, it's going to be this money, or if you don't get promoted, it's going to be this money. Like there's ways around it. You can do it and draft a contract up.
Yeah.
Like someone's just said there, he's on 115 grand a week. That's a fucking lot of dough to be giving a player. Do you know what I'm saying?
But James, I also heard someone explain that the amortization, that word that keeps coming up nowadays,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't work because we paid too much for him when we bought him. Didn't we spend 25 million pounds or so?
30.
And so
I think it's 30 now, I think.
that's
30 mil.
absurd. That's a ridiculous number. And so even if let's say Leeds come in and offer us 10, we're still going to hesitate because it's going to affect us by 20 million pounds approximately in the negative. That's what somebody argued, is that you can't sell Ward-Prowse because
it's not quite like that, mate. So basically,
yeah, I mean, I'm not a math guy, so please go ahead.
So PSR, I was trying to explain this to some Arsenal fans the other day, and they couldn't get their head around it. So with PSR, basically the profit of the player is determined by the length of the contract. So if he's on a 5-year contract, we've had him for 3 years. If we've agreed to pay that 30 million off after 3 years, then basically they'll look at the following 2 years of what's left on the contract, and that will determine the value of the player. So depending on so let's say, I don't know, 30 divided by 4, 5, whatever you want to call it, we've paid off X amount over 3 years. In theory, to the eye, you make a loss if you sell him for 10 million quid. But actually, depending on what profit, what we've got out of the player over the last 3 years could determine whether that becomes more profitable for the club. It is one of the most confusing things, but the only thing I can recommend is to watch videos on YouTube and TalkSport. You hear Simon Jordan and Kieran McKenna or whatever they talk about it, and they do really explain it, but it is the absolute death of football because it just favours the big clubs, unfortunately. You got Man United, who are apparently £1 billion in debt, about to go out of business, but can comfortably spend £200 million on signing players but can't afford cups of teas for their tea ladies. So it's just the death of football because it favours the big six and it absolutely shafts the rest of us, unfortunately.
Costa, what do you make of Fernandes?
I'm not gonna say I'm excited about it because I wasn't paying attention to him last season, so I don't really know the player that well. I'm just going off the excitement other people have. It seems to me that he could fit in really well as the third center mid.
Yeah.
With Paqueta and Alvarez, or Paqueta and Potts or something. So that the Southampton fans seem to think he's worth 50 million pounds, and they seem very upset about the number that we're releasing, that we are asking for, 30 million, 25 million. So going off that, it seems pretty good. My big question is, this has been my question for every midfield candidate, period. Can they put in a tackle? Are they quick? I that's what I care about the most out of any other skill set, because our other midfielders, they know where to be on the pitch. Some of them have finesse and skills. Some of them have graft. Some of them are good in the clubhouse with the training, but none of them are quick. So
I would say Fernandes, to help you there, mate, because I know you mentioned you hadn't seen a lot of him. He's probably quite similar to Lucas Paquetá in the fact that he's much more technical. He's a much more technical player, and he's happy to get stuck into a tackle and do the dirty work. But he ain't the quickest. He's not a goal scorer either. Midfielder, I would say.
He's not a goal scoring midfielder either. That's another thing that's a bit of a problem. I
Yeah,
think someone
I
said
agree.
he only scored 2 goals last year. I think shout out to Alfie in the chat. He turned around and said he's only scored 2 goals last year. I think it was. So he's not a natural goal scorer.
Yeah, the only
from
counter
midfield.
to that, James, is he was playing in a Southampton team that almost equalled Derby's record. I
True.
don't think he really could truly blossom in that side. And that's not to say he will at West Ham, but I think if you can put Paquetá next to him in the midfield, you will see them interchange quite a lot. That's what I will imagine will happen. They'll both interchange from the 8 into the 10 because they are both very technical players, but they're also both happy to do the dirty work, which is something that Potter, being a pragmatic manager, is going to want in a player. And I think that's why Fernandes is on the top of his shopping list.
Before I let you go, Costa, what do you think the opening bid's going to be from West Ham?
$18 million and then another 3 in add-ons, something like that.
Says it all, doesn't it?
I've been supporting this club a long time, and after 10 years of David Sullivan making bids, you're very familiar with the pattern and how he does things. I also would not be surprised whatsoever to see us not meet their valuation and wait until the 23rd or something, and then we somehow end up with El Canus from Leicester instead for less money. And my only concern there is I think he's got a bit of the Lanzinis about him, and he's not very strong, and he won't be as good defensively. But I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Fernandes thing be a bit like Juve, where we spend a week bidding too low, and then we get just close enough that Southampton says, all right, fine. But regardless of signing Fernandes, I think we have to get another midfielder. It's not
Costas,
enough. You have to get it.
Sorry, could I ask you just one? Sorry, I know James might have other people waiting, but just to ask you one other thing.
Please.
I think you made a really, really good point earlier on at the start where you said about Ward-Prowse being a vice captain and that we shouldn't worry because Cresswell was a vice captain. But the only thing I will say that I think has given a lot of West Ham fans anxiety more about this is the fact that Ward-Prowse has started near enough every single pre-season game. So that maybe just adds that little bit of anxiety that even if we do go and sign another midfielder, he might end up dropping Freddie Potts instead to keep Ward-Prowse in there. So,
but the only thing I just want to say this real quick, Costa. The only thing that I will say to that is I understand that, right, with the Ward-Prowse situation, but I am worried about Freddie, mate, because we're asking a fucking lot of this geezer. We're asking him to be a Premier League player, like of a drop of an hat, and he's going to have to put in like 6, 7, 8 out of 10 performances minimum. Like, and this is the thing: the midfield is the problem, and Freddie should be a bonus to that midfield. You should be adding Freddie in there and going, right, you get your midfield sorted out, and then Freddie comes in and you integrate him in like you integrated Scholes. What it is I feel like we're going to be chucking Freddie in and hoping that he can handle this. Right, you can see it in pre-season. Obviously, Costa, you was at the game, the Manchester United game, so you see him firsthand. Yeah. So we're going to know next week if he goes up against Sunderland and he's. I don't want to say he's out of his depth, but he could be. He could be a rabbit in headlights for all we know, right? And I want him to do well, but what I don't want him to do is be stitched up. That's one thing I don't want. I don't want him to be chucked in and he's got no one around him. And he's just got he's just got no fucking energy around him. Do you know what I mean? So go on, Costa. I'll let you finally land on what you want to say, mate.
This will be my last, and it's actually perfect. Last thing to talk about, honestly, because it's a positive thing, which is, I tend to be very optimistic about our academy players. That's one thing I absolutely love about our club, is our history of developing East End boys and making them stars. But I have a tremendous amount of confidence in Freddie Potts. I don't mean that to say that I think he will immediately hit the ground running and he won't make any big mistakes. And I think it'll be similar to Ali Scholes. But when your dad's played 400 matches or what it was, I don't know the exact number, but it's insane. I think he's played the most matches in club history.
Yeah.
And your big brother's played for us, and he's already experienced not being quite good enough. I don't think you could have anything better going for a young midfielder than that, because he's been raised around the club. He knows the club. His dad is the club. His family is West Ham. So what I saw, I mean, I know it's preseason, but I was there for 2 matches. Freddie played most of both of those matches. And I just saw a cool head, a calm, uh, intelligent player, not
Yeah.
somebody rapid and not somebody who's going to score a screamer from outside the box. But confidence in himself is not something that I'm worried about. I think that he has a tremendous mentality. Does he have all of the skill set, all of the athleticism to be a starting defensive mid in the Prem? I don't know that yet. But in terms of his mentality and where his head is, I have tremendous confidence, because I saw someone who believed in themselves and was calm on the ball and just looked for the right pass. And he made it pretty much every time. He didn't do any crazy tricks or flicks or anything, but he's very level headed, very even. And I cross my fingers, but I think this might be a learning season for him, but give him a season or two and he really could be doing well for us.
Yeah. Fair enough, Costa. Costa, I'm gonna let you go, mate. You take it
All
easy.
right, mate.
All the best to you. It's been Costa. Brad, anything that you want to discuss on what's been said so far?
No, I think everyone's made some really, really valid points. A lot of fair points, and I think the Freddie Potts thing. I got pelters on the space on X the other night for comparing him to Declan Rice, and I think that just got maybe misinterpreted, to be honest. Because I'm not saying Freddie Potts is the next Declan Rice. My point was that Rice did come into the side as centre back into defensive midfield, and he did make lots of mistakes. But the one thing that the manager kept doing was he trusted him. He kept playing him, put his arm around him. And I think actually with Potter, that's one thing he's really good at. He's brought in a sports psychologist to help with that as well, is to keep that arm around his shoulder and hopefully develop him into the player. The only thing I guess I want to ask you, James, is how you feeling for Saturday? In the words of Gonzo and Gio, you feeling fruity?
I'm always fruity, mate. Just ask the missus. Do you know what I mean? 100%. Right. How do I feel about Saturday? I'm nervous, big time, because I know what's coming. If we go up there and we concede early, can West Ham come back from a losing position? That's the $1 million question. I think we're so dependent on Jared Bowen this season, like we've never been dependent on this geezer in our lives. Do you know what I mean? If he goes down, I just don't see where the goals are coming from. Do you know what I mean? I think Fulkrug's in form, which is good. He scored goals in pre-season, and he's consistently scoring goals. And when a striker is scoring goals, that's always a plus, because their confidence is always up. But I am a little bit nervous about Saturday, because I know for a fact if we go up there and we do get turned over, people are going to be being very, very worried very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Because then next week after that, it's Chelsea at home, right? And it could start ramping up. And obviously, the first 5 games are tough. We've got
tough, yeah.
Sunderland, we've got Chelsea, we've got Nottingham Forest away, which we haven't beat them since they've returned to the Premier League. We've got Crystal Palace, who just won the Charity Shield or the Community Shield, and then you've got Tottenham in there. Do you know what I mean? So that's we've got a big first 5 games coming up. So I am a little bit sceptical. I'm always sort of worried about West Ham, because you just never know what West Ham's going to turn up. West Ham could quite easily turn up there and roll Sunderland out the ground, and shock us all, or they could turn up there and just fall apart. The issue is that signings need to be added to this midfield area, The Freddie Potts thing does worry me a little bit. I want the kid to do well. I can't stress enough this. How many times I fucking say it?
But you want players around. We need more midfielders so we can help it gradually get him into the side.
If Potter brings midfielders in and takes Potts out and keeps Ward-Prowse in, then everyone's got the right to have a go at him. Right, every right, and I'll be the first one there saying the same thing. Right, I want Potts to do well, but he ain't going to do well in this midfield. And what it is, he's going to look shit in a midfielder shit. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I just don't want people going at Potts when the problem is the whole fucking midfield, right, from one side to the other. But we're going to see. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how the youth gets on at the weekend, right? Something someone said on the space the other night, and I must admit that was one of the best spaces I've done the other night. They turned around and they said, teams will figure out that every time we're getting a ball to the youth, we're getting bodies in the box. And that's where Thomas Soucek and sort of Krug in the last 20 minutes of games, if we need a goal or we're searching for a goal, that's what's coming in. Ball straight in the box from the youth.
It's going
straight
down
into
the left in it all the time.
Yeah. And if teams ain't going to be stupid, that they will figure out that Wan-Bissaka don't really cross balls in. And
I think that's why he'll bring Walker Peters on. I actually quite like that sub where we saw Wan-Bissaka actually drop in. Tadibo can never last 90 minutes. So Wan-Bissaka dropped into right centre-back, and Carl Walker Peters actually, I thought he looked pretty good at right wing-back. He come on and really progressed us up the pitch quite well. And to be honest, has a better delivery than Wan-Bissaka of a cross. I think Wan-Bissaka, although he got some good assists last year, has notoriously never been the best crosser of a ball. So that could be a tactic that he tries to use if we are a goal down, where he brings Walker Peters on, and people will immediately go, "Oh, we're bringing on a fucking defender," but actually, it's to make sure that we're not just limiting ourselves down the left-hand side and actually opening up the right-hand side as well. When it comes to Saturday, James, I'm hoping lightning doesn't strike twice. I was at the City Ground when Nottingham Forest first got promoted, and they'd signed a million players just like Sunderland have done now. We absolutely battered them the first half. We missed a penalty. We hit the bar about 3 times. And then we lost 1-0. And it was it was deafening, the atmosphere there. Like, I couldn't even hear our own fans singing Bubbles. It was that loud. And I think the Stadium of Light is going to be absolutely electric. And that first 20 minutes is so important that we weather the atmosphere and the occasion. And we've got to try and quieten the crowd down a little bit. And I think if we can get a goal early on in the first half, that's where I start to think that it plays into our hands, because they'll have to come on to us. And that suits Potter. He plays a system where he's waiting for gaps to open up.
Yeah.
So we do need to get it. Unfortunately, you are right. If we go a goal down, I worry. He will tinker and change the system, but I do worry that then we're going to struggle to win.
That's the only thing that pisses me off with Potter to a point. Yeah, because some people will say, "Oh, James, you're backing Potter." The reason why I'm backing Potter, because Sullivan's not backing the cunt. Do you know what I mean? So someone's got to back him. Do you know what I mean? So, but one thing that does piss me off with Potter is I've seen him before play 4-3-3. And West Ham have looked good in it. And it feels like to me he wants to control the game first and try and get a goal up and then try and just control the game. Whereas before, amount of times West Ham have been 1-0 down in games, especially last season. I noticed it so many times last season, right, where we go a goal down and then he automatically just fucking turn it around and go 4-3-3 and we look a completely different side. And listen, I'll say this quite openly, another thing, the start of games and the start of the second half is key. Also, because the amount of times that we're starting slow in games, we see it in pre-season where we come out the traps and we're slow. We can't afford to do that on Saturday. We come out slow, right? We could be a goal down. Do you know what I mean? And one thing that we can't do is go a goal down up there early.
I think under Potter, if you look back at him at Brighton, notoriously, the side's never won by big margins. There was always a goal or two that his Brighton teams would win. The only difference is with Brighton, the football and the midfield that he had with McAllister, Caicedo, etc. They played a brand of football that was so easy on the eye. And at the moment, we just haven't got that athleticism and dynamism currently in our midfield to get that sort of easy on the eye football. But I don't think West Ham are going to be a team that are going to put Sunderland to the sword sort of by 3, 4, 5 goals. It will be a case of we'll get a goal up, we will get men behind the ball, and then we'll try and exploit spaces as the team step onto us. And that's where you're going to see the very best of Graham Potter and actually probably Hermansen as well, because when you're a goal up, the attackers start drawing themselves closer to the goalkeeper, which opens up more space in the middle of the pitch. And that's where we can start exploiting the teams a little bit more. So I do think the signings that Potter's wanted all summer, I've said this, I've been really impressed with the targets we're linked with, because they are going to work to his system. It's just whether we've got an owner that's prepared to back him. And that's the thing where we know he's already said he ain't going to invest his own money. So fuck knows what's going to happen there.
Does Hermansen start for you?
Great question. For me, yes.
I agree.
For Potter, no.
When does he start?
I would imagine that I'm going to go on a limb here. I think we're playing a cup game probably after Chelsea. It'll be a League Cup game.
I think there's a I think
EFL round 2.
Yeah.
So we'll play the first 2 league games, and I think it'll be a cup game. It's either between. Yeah, I think it's after the Chelsea game. I think that's where Hermansen will get his first start.
I think it's too soon, but I think he will wait until Areola fucks up on the game to give the excuse to not rock the boat. If he goes and puts Hermansen in the first game, he's rocking the boat straight away, isn't he? And he's rocking the team a little bit. And one thing I will say about the team before we come towards the end is the harmony in the team is very, very good. Well, I'll give it that. Like they look relaxed, they look all together. I've just seen little things in pre-season which I don't like. Like against Bournemouth, the first 10 minutes of that game, we could have been obliterated by them. Literally, they were all over us. They hit the post, hit the crossbar. They could have destroyed us quite easily, and we ended up winning that game somehow. Right, I still can't believe to this day how we won that game.
You and me both.
But nevertheless, right, we got the result. Right, we need just to get a result. Do you know what I'm saying? Also, just to round this up on this, we need to get Fernandes in this week. Right,
I agree, yeah.
If he's not ready for Sunderland, he has to be ready for Chelsea. Like we can't go with that midfield. Like personally, for me, I wouldn't play Ward-Prowse at the weekend, but I think he's going to play because he's the only one who's like steady Eddie on the ball in the middle of the park, which Potter likes to play, and Souček can't do what Ward-Prowse can do on the ball. I know it's basic, I know it's very vanilla, but it's a fact. He can't do it. So for me, Souček comes on last 20 minutes, and then you fly every ball into the box.
Well, you're either bringing Souček on to defend your own box if you're a goal up, or you're bringing him on to fire everything into their box to nick you a goal back. That is the art of Thomas Souček, I think, under Graham Potter, and why I don't want to see us sell him unless we got a massive fee for him. But I think he is a good player to have around, and he's also someone a lot of players look up to within that football club as well. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough old game on Saturday, but I'll go on a limb. I'll say that we'll win 1-0.
Well, I'm going to do a preview in the week, so stay tuned for that. I will give you my thoughts, but I think it's going to be a cagey game. Well, West Ham are going to try and play a cagey game. It's just whatever Sunderland do.
We have got to get Fernandes though, mate. And it's a weird one. Let's say we got Fernandes tied up in the next couple of days. I mean, West Ham seem to do medicals over 2 days instead of 1 day for whatever fucking reason.
True,
so even if we agree to deal tomorrow, he won't get announced till Thursday. So there's absolutely no chance he's going to be starting on Saturday. But he might make the bench if we get him registered in time. He might make the bench and make a late appearance for about 10 minutes.
For me, West Ham should be nailing this geezer down, right, Fernandes, this week.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, right. Right. And I'm going to say this to round this video up, because this is it now. If you can spin John Victor around in a space of 24 hours and agree terms and get him at the fucking airport, you can get this geezer from Southampton. It's as simple as that. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Like, and there's no other way of saying it. Do you know what I mean? It's whether or not they're prepared to match the fee, what they want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Brad, I'm going to let you go, mate. Thank you very much,
man, James. Appreciate
for coming on. No worries at all. Take care. That has been Brad. Listen, smash a like on the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV, hit notification bell. Thank you for everyone who come on tonight. If you ever want to come on, the link's always in the chat. Come on, have you say. James, come on tonight. Costa, come on tonight. And shout out to Brad, who also come on tonight. I'm concerned about the midfield. No way Potts has to come out of this midfield, but you need to give him quality in the midfield because we can't make him look shit. Do you know what I mean? He can't do it on his own. But we'll see. We'll see on that. Anyway, that's enough from me. Take care of yourselves out there. Have a good evening wherever you are, and I'll see you again in the next one.